very good evening to you, dear viewers. It's exactly 6 p.m. Cairo local time. It's time for this English news bulletin coming out to you from Channel 2, and we begin with the headlines. President Sisi urges Trump to exert all possible efforts to put an end to Gaza war, allow needed aid. Aid agencies say more aid are needed to tackle famine-like conditions in Gaza. Thai-Cambodian leaders hold ceasefire talks in Malaysia. Welcome back. The news in full. President Sisi urges Trump to exert all efforts to end the war in Gaza and to allow entry of needed aid to the enclave. In a televised speech on Monday in which the president made an urgent appeal for an end to the war in Gaza, President Sisi said Egypt has been working with Qatar and the U.S. to ensure a ceasefire is reached and needed humanitarian aid are entering Gaza. President Sisi also called for more effort to this effect by the EU and fellow Arab states. The head of the state added that Egypt's positive stances are clear since the beginning of the crisis, including exerting efforts to find solutions to this crisis, put an end to the war, and de-escalate regional tensions. The president stressed Egypt's rejection of any displacement of Palestinians, warning that such moves will not lead to a two-state solution, to the establishment of a Palestinian state, or to any peaceful settlement of the Palestinian issue. President Sisi pointed out that thousands of aid trucks are waiting to enter the Gaza Strip via the Rafah border crossings, stressing that people in the Palestinian enclave need between 500 to 600 trucks on a daily basis. A second convoy of aid trucks entered the Rafah land port's Karma Abu Salim border crossing from Egypt ahead of entering the Gaza Strip on Monday. Egyptian TV correspondents noted that 18 truckloads from the UAE began entering Gaza carrying medicine, food. They said that 120 truckloads have entered the border crossing that is located between the Gaza Strip, Israel and Egypt on Sunday. Karma Abu Salim border crossing has been used to enter hundreds of trucks during the January truce in Gaza. UN agencies said on Monday that a long-term steady supply of aid is needed to counter the worsening hunger crisis in Gaza after mounting pressure prompted Israel to ease some restrictions in the Palestinian enclave. Israel said on Monday that more than 120 truckloads of food aid were distributed by aid agencies in the Gaza Strip on Sunday, but Gaza's government office said only few dozens actually reached the enclave. On Sunday, Israel announced a tactical pause in parts of the devastated territory amid international pressure for a massive aid, relief and recovery operations. 14 Palestinians have died of malnutrition-related causes in the Gaza Strip in the past 24 hours. The territory's health ministry said on Monday that the dead includes 2 children, bringing the total deaths from causes related to malnutrition to 134, including 88 children since the war began. Separately, at least 13 Palestinians were reported as killed in Israeli air attacks across Gaza Strip, including 9 aid seekers. President Fattah al-Sisi said coordination between the Ministry of Endowments and concerned bodies should continue to promote preachers' capabilities and to enhance religious discourse amid rising challenges that need more public awareness. In a meeting on Monday with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and the Minister of Endowments, the President reviewed the Ministry's strategies, plans and initiatives, notably in confronting extremist thought and misconceptions. The head of state urged more cooperation with civil society agencies to achieve the ministry initiative's national goals. The meeting also reviewed currently implemented upgrades to the ministry's new website. Election campaigns of Senate candidates continue to end on Thursday, 31st of July, then election silence starts. The National Election Authority has announced that elections abroad will kick off on Friday and Saturday, 1st and 2nd of August, and the election will start on Monday and Tuesday, the 4th and 5th of August. As part of the Foreign Minister's visit to the United States, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Migration Badr on Monday announced that the 6th edition of Egyptians Abroad Conference will be held on August the 3rd and continues for 2 days. In a meeting with members of the Egyptian community, the top diplomat asserted that the state is keenly interested in updating bridges with Egyptian communities abroad. Abdul-Ati pointed out to the importance of the wide participation of Egyptians abroad in upcoming national elections in order to exert their constitutional rights. The head of the Electoral Commission in Syria said the first parliamentary election under the new administration will be held between September 15th and 20. After meeting with President Ahmed al-Shara on Sunday, Muhammad Taha al-Ahmad announced the plans for a new 210-seat parliament with 140 members chosen by the local bodies and 70 appointed by the president. Officials said areas outside government control, including Kurdish-held regions in northeastern Syria and the Druze majority province of Suwaida, would continue to have seats allocated based on population. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baqai said on Monday that the UN nuclear watchdog will make a visit to Iran within the next 2 weeks. A few days after the watchdog's director said Tehran was ready to restart technical conversations. Baqai added that a manual regarding the future of Iran's cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency will be presented based on a recent parliamentary bill restricting such cooperation. The bill, which came after Israeli and U.S. airstrikes last month, stipulates that any future inspection of Iran's nuclear sites by the IAEA needs approval by Tehran's Supreme National Security Council. The leaders of Cambodia and Thailand were meeting in Malaysia on Monday to try to reach a ceasefire deal on the 5th day of their fierce border conflict amid an international effort to halt the fighting. The Southeast Asian neighbors are waging their deadliest conflict in more than a decade, with heavy artillery bombardment and airstrikes along their land border. The tension has intensified since the killing of a Cambodian soldier during a brief skirmish late in May. The crisis brought Thailand's fragile coalition government to the brink of collapse. Moving to the world of business and finance, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli said he is looking forward to an increased investment by the multinational oil and gas company Shell, making the best use of Egypt's promising opportunities in the petroleum sector. The Prime Minister made these remarks in a meeting with Vice President of LNG at Shell, Cedric Kremers, to review a number of the oil giant's activities in the national market. He pointed out to the government's keen interest in the continued payment of foreign partner dues in the framework of its strategy to increase production and exploration rates at areas of concession to the foreign companies operating in the petroleum and natural gas sector in Egypt. Egypt's bourse today closed lower amid sell-offs by Arab investors and Arab and foreign corporations against purchases by local and foreign investors and local corporations. The market capital of listed companies lost 36 billion Egyptian pounds, crossing 2.3 trillion pounds at the end of an average transactions of 72.1 billion. The benchmark index EGX 30 dipped to 1.4% above the 34,070 point mark. The equal weighted indices EGX 70 and EGX 100 both fell 1.6%. In commodities, oil prices rose after the United States and the European Union's recent trade agreement. London's Brent crude futures was up 0.5% to $68.28 a barrel, and U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude rose by the same percentage to $65.78 per barrel. Gold prices eased 0.1% to $3,334 an ounce, their lowest in nearly 2 weeks on reduced appetite for traditional safe havens. Moving to the exciting world of sports, defending champions Al Ahly were down to arch rivals Al Zamalek and second-place Pyramids in the 9th and 5th round of the 2025-2026 Egyptian Premier League. The first-round draw that was recently held for the new season showed that both encounters will be played at the Cairo International Stadium. Meanwhile, Pyramids will be hosted by Al Zamalek at the Air Defense Stadium in the 20th round. The draw also showed that Group A fixtures of the league's second round will kick off on March the 3rd and will end on May 14th. England beat Spain 3-1 on penalties to win the Women's Euro 2025 and retain their title after yesterday's final had finished 1-1 at the end of extra time. Chloe Kelly scored the decisive kick in a shootout, which saw 3 Spain players fail to convert. Spain headed into the break in the lead with a goal in the 25th minute, and England equalized in the 57th minute. Dear viewers, this brings us to the end of this English News Bulletin. Came to you out of Channel 2. That was Reem Tamer. Thank you for watching.